Okay, what if there was a Call of Duty first-person shooter game set during the Second Sino-Japanese War of 1937 through 1945. I'll call this hypothetical game Call of Duty Asiatic Assault. Similar to Medal of Honor European Assault, but this is the Call of Duty franchise we're talking about. Okay, what is up there, YouTube? This is J-Man Time, and today I have another what if video game concept for you all. The one front line that the Call of Duty franchise has never covered was the Second Sino-Japanese War, also known as World War II in China, or the Chinese front line. In 1937, Japan invaded even more areas of China, sparking what was known as the Second Sino-Japanese War. Now, Japan had been slowly annexing parts of China since the First Sino-Japanese War in 1894-1895, and again in 1931-1932 in what was known as the Manchuria Campaign. Well, in 1937, the full-blown conflict, or the second full-blown conflict between China and Japan begun in what was known as the Second Sino-Japanese War. Now, this war was between a divided China, a China that was divided between the nationalist Kuomintang or Kuomintang under Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek, and you also had the Chinese communists under Mao Zedong, or Comrade Mao Zedong, or Chairman Mao as he was known as, versus the Empire of Japan. And not just the Empire of Japan, the Chinese collaborator states, or the Japanese puppet states in China. The Chinese provisional government based in Nanjing, also known as the Wang Jinghui government. You also had the Japanese puppet state of Manchukuo, or Manchuria, which was led by a man named Emperor Puyi. And you also had the Japanese puppet government of Mingjiang, which was the Japanese Mongolian territory, led by a man named Prince Demchug Dongarub. It's a funny name. And this conflict lasted for 8 years. This Second Sino-Japanese War actually lasted longer than the fighting in Europe, which is the other major front line in the Second World War. In total, between 15 and 22 million people died during the Second Sino-Japanese War, yet it has rarely ever been covered in first-person shooter games made by Western developers. So what if Activision was to make a Call of Duty game set during the Second Sino-Japanese War? It would be a good idea. There are tons of campaigns from this front line that were never covered, like the Battle of Changsha, for example, the Battle of Shanghai. All of these big battles that were on the same level as the battles of Stalingrad and Berlin on the Eastern and Western fronts. You also had tons of rare and cool Chinese and Japanese weapons that were used during this conflict. For example, the Chinese fully automatic or select fire Mauser C96 carbines. These were submachine gun carbines or semi-automatic pistol carbines manufactured by the Chinese nationalists and the communists. And you had tons of experimental semi-automatic or limited production semi-automatic and fully automatic weapons that were also developed by the Chinese, along with cool Japanese weapons like the Nambu Type 1 and Nambu Type 2 submachine guns, which were rare Japanese submachine guns that were only issued in China during the Second World War, along with tons of rare Japanese light and heavy fully automatic weapons, rifles, and light machine guns. All of this could be in a hypothetical Call of Duty game set during the Second Sino-Japanese War, but no developer seems to want to touch this conflict. But it would be a good idea if Activision were to make a Call of Duty spin-off game of the old World War II Call of Duty games from the early 2000s. So since they're basically remaking the old Call of Duty games, why don't they make some new spin-offs based on the conflicts and front lines, the other battles and front lines in World War II that were rarely ever covered or have never been covered at all, like the Second Sino-Japanese War. They could also add some new game modes to this hypothetical Call of Duty. Well, here's an idea for a game mode: Sniper Royale. Sniper Royale is a hypothetical game game mode, or a what-if game mode, where you're only allowed to use sniper rifles and marksman weapons fitted with scopes. No fully automatic rifles, no submachine guns, only your typical bolt action and semi-automatic rifles and pistol carbines, fitted with sniper scopes. It would be just like hardcore search and destroy. It would be like search and destroy or hardcore search and destroy, but you're only allowed to use sniper weapons instead. I see a lot of snipers in Call of Duty, so this would be a good game mode for this hypothetical Call of Duty game set during the Second Sino-Japanese War. So this was just one idea I've had for a what-if Call of Duty game set during the Second World War. What do you all think of this idea? Please tell me in the comments section below, and until next time, this was J-Man Time, signing off.